Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video if you are watching on YouTube, or welcome to another episode of the Monologue Podcast if you are listening or watching on Spotify or any other podcast listening or streaming platform. This is going to be a good treat if you are a designer. It is a recorded video from my session in the Designers Uplift Virtual Conference, where I had the opportunity to speak and share my knowledge, including strategies on how we can design with purpose. In this session, I talked about so many ways that as designers, we can upgrade, upscale, and improve our design skills by creating designs that serves the purpose, delivers results, and is functional. Do well to listen, as this is going to be a very interesting video, and do well to watch and watch again if you don't understand. And I'll be waiting for your questions in the comments, if you have any, and I'll be ready to answer your comment. I'll be ready to answer your questions if you find any part confusing, or you find any part not understandable, or you just want to have a deeper understanding of how to go about these things. I'll be here and ready to answer your question. And before you begin, or before you go ahead, do well to subscribe, as this helps me to grow and also encourages me to keep giving you amazing content like this. Take care and enjoy a good watch. Thank you, Prince Ebube, for giving me the opportunity to speak at your event and to speak on the day one, or the opening of this amazing conference. It's been a really good opportunity. I'm someone that I love to share knowledge, and I love to share ideas with individuals. And in today's session, we are going to be talking about a very, very interesting topic, something that has eluded a lot of designers. I believe many designers have lost what it truly means to be designers, and now they're just more focused on how they can make things look beautiful instead of making things look functional. And everybody is now beginning to fall prey and to fall side to every other generic things out there. And, whatever can just make their design good is what everybody's following. But I think it's time for us to bring back that functionality and the true purpose of design. And that is why I love this topic called design with purpose, because I believe every designer here, we need to learn how to design with purpose, and we need to learn what it means to design with purpose. And the subtopic is understanding branding principles that drive better design decisions. And in fact, I love this topic so much because, like I said, it's a topic that I'm going to be brutal in. So for you guys out there who are very, very allergic to the truth and allergic to facts, this might not be a session for you. But if you're somebody who is ready to grow and you're ready to make the changes that you need to make, then this topic is something that you need to sit back and flow with me. So I'll be sharing with us a lot of strategies and some of the things that we can use to help ourselves to become better at our design. So hello everybody, my name is Oluebubechukwu. I'm a brand and visual designer, and I'm also a public speaker. I'm a father, and I'm also a husband. And I've been a designer for almost a decade now, if not more than. And I've also worked with brands and businesses both in Nigeria, in Africa, and outside of Africa. I also own a design agency called Advis Creative Agency, where we partner with brands, both startups, established brands, individuals like personal brands, and we've also worked with different organizations, from governmental organizations down to private organizations. We've worked with the tech industry, with NGOs, we've worked with the ed tech, we've also worked with fintech, and we keep growing and helping brands and businesses define their goal and what they hope to achieve. I also own a design academy called VIX Creative Academy, where we help designers to kickstart their design journey or scale up their design journey. We have courses ranging from graphic design courses to visual identity, web design, UI UX design, and we are planning on bringing more good courses that can either get you started your design journey or scale you up ahead. And all the same, I also run a podcast where I share the stage with a lot of guest speakers on design related topics, business related topics, personal development and growth related topics, and even religious related topics. And it's called Monologue with Olu. So you can search for the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast, whether on Spotify, YouTube Music, and wherever. So thank you guys for being with me. So moving on, that's enough about me today. So moving on, I'm going to start with this little quote which says, I don't believe in designing to just make things look good. I believe in designing to make things work. You see, Many designers are beginning to design just to make things look good. That is why nowadays we have designers who is like they were taught by the same person. Everybody's design is looking the same, right? It's like it is one person that taught everybody how to design. Because the reason why this is happening is because we have shifted our focus from designing to make things work to designing to make things look good. So everybody's looking after the next 3D effects. Everybody's looking after where they can put in the next lens flare. Everybody's looking after where they can do the next over sharpening of images, over editing of images, adding unnecessary effects that are not needed in the design. Instead of focusing on this design I am creating, how is it going to work? That should be the focus. Every time you pick up your PC or you want to design for that client, ask yourself, am I designing because I want to prove that I can create something that is beautiful? Or am I designing because I actually want to help my client solve a problem? That should be the focus. So moving on, let's start here. Now, where are we starting from? What does it mean to design with purpose? Because if we don't know what purpose means or what it means to design with purpose, we might not even be able to know how we can actually design with purpose. So how do we know what it means to design with purpose? Now, the number one thing you need to understand when it comes to designing with purpose is that every color, every font, every layout, and every choice you make needs to be tied to a goal. What it simply means is that if you're choosing a color and you're choosing a font and you're choosing a layout for a particular design, everything needs to work in harmony. Your color shouldn't be speaking a different language, and your font is speaking a different language, and then your layout is speaking a total different language. Everything needs to be in harmony. Everything needs to work together. If you are designing for a technological brand, everything needs to work together. If you are designing for a real estate brand, everything needs to work together, including the images, the other elements you're going to use, from the images to the fonts to the colors to the composition. Now, if the such company do have what they call a brand guideline, please do well to follow it. Don't say because you want to make things look pretty, then you discard the brand guideline. No, go according to the brand guideline. Make sure you are designing according to what is in the brand guideline. Make sure you are using the right colors for the brand. You are using the right fonts. You are using the right, instructions. Because some brands they have what they call logo do's and don'ts. Things you should do with the logo and things you just can't do with the logo. So don't go and do your own. Make sure that it's a brand guideline. Now, if it's a brand that does not have a brand guideline, fine. Focus on functionality instead of trying to make things look good. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should not create a design that shouldn't be good, but make sure that while you are creating something that is good, ensure that you're also creating something that works. Don't just be creative because for the sake of creating. Okay. Then the next one that you need to note when it comes to designing with purpose is that every design serves a bigger brand message. And that is true. When you are creating a design for a brand, make sure that it is tailored to the message that the brand wants to pass across. Are they trying to sell a product? Are they trying to advertise their business? Are they trying to make themselves known to the public? Are they launching a new product? What exactly is the message that the brand is passing across at that moment? And also, how does that message tie to the overall message that the brand is? For example, now when you see an Apple product design, like for example, now when people that create iPhones, that is Apple, when you see that designs out there, you can easily tell that this is an Apple design. Why? Not because the designs are looking the same, but because there's a sense of consistency in the way the message is passed across. So you don't want a situation whereby today the client should just create a design for the logo, or sorry, the design layout is telling them welcome, and tomorrow the design layout is telling them we are closed for business. No, it needs to have a consistent message to be passed across. So ensure that for every design you're creating, they should serve a bigger brand message. Then the third one is every visual output moves a brand forward, not just sideways. And that is the truth. You're not just creating a design because you want to feel good about that design. Design is not art. Design is not self-expression. Design is something that has to do with how well you're able to pass a message across to the audience visually. Design is all about how can you be able to help a brand move to a bigger step, move to the next big step. You don't need to take them to their goal, but at least help them to be one step closer to the goal. Not all designs will take a brand to their goal, but all designs can take a brand one step closer to their goal. When you look at Coca-Cola, for example, Coca-Cola has a sense of that consistency. Over the years, they didn't just come and
because they feel that, oh, okay, we're not a big organization. We can be changing our design however we like. They kept doing the same, their brand messaging became consistent. So make sure that whatever design you're creating for your client, it is moving that client from one stage to another stage, from one stage to another stage. It is pushing them towards their customers, it is pushing them towards their audience, it is building something positive for the brand, either building a connection with their customers or their audience, or it is building a connection with future customers, or it is just helping them to retain the connection that they've had. Okay, so your design needs to serve a purpose. Now, whether you're creating a logo, a poster, a product packaging, or a website, designing with purpose is how you bridge the gap between beautiful visuals and business results. Many designers have discarded the business results and are only focused on beautiful visuals. That is why we have a lot of people today who are doing this thing they call logo redesign. They go out there, they see a person, they see on that brand's logo, they'll be like, I want to redesign it. They'll first of all maybe discard the idea of the logo, then say now claim that this is their own idea, which would serve the brand better. But the truth is that, is that your job? You're not hired to redesign their brand. So keep it to yourself. Many designers now are after what is beautiful over business results. So we need to make sure that we are focused on creating something that gives a business the results that they need, instead of just creating visuals that are beautiful. And when you do this kind of a design, that is what creates a strong brand. Okay? When you create designs that are functional, designs that are business results driven, designs that are purposeful driven, you create a strong brand. But then, what is a strong brand? A strong brand has three characteristics. Number one, a strong brand is emotional. A strong brand must have emotions. It must have something that the audience and the customers, both the past, the present, and the future customers can relate with, they can connect with. People connect with Apple because they create luxury. They create something that makes you feel that you are among the top 1%. They create something that makes you feel that, oh, you are among the elites of the society. You understand me? So when you use an Apple product, they see you as a tech bro. Maybe, for example, now maybe you were using Windows before and you bought a MacBook. All of a sudden, you're not a tech bro. Even if the only thing you're using your MacBook now to do is just to maybe run, maybe you're a social media manager and you only use it to run ads and you use it to do things in Canva. No hard feelings about Canva designers anyway. But what I'm simply trying to say is that imagine you bought a MacBook and you're not really doing anything heavy with it. All of a sudden, everybody sees you as either a tech bro or a tech six. Why? Because that is now the ideology and the emotion that people have tied to anything MacBook. It is a powerhouse for people who are into tech, who are into design, right? Nobody buys a MacBook just because you want to launch Microsoft Word, or you want to do you want to watch movies with VLC player. No, nobody buys MacBook for that. Before you buy a MacBook, it means you are using it for something really, really serious. You're being serious with your life. So they see MacBook users as people who are serious with their life, and Windows users are people who are not serious with their life. Even if I'm a Windows person and I will continue to use Windows because I just love Windows and it's seamless and I love it. Yes, even if I have the money to buy a MacBook today, I'll use that money and go and buy a Windows of the same power and the same capacity. I just love Windows. My point here is that there's an emotional connection with people that use an Apple product, even if you're using an iPhone. Even if it's a 5 years old iPhone, but as long as it's iPhone, there's that Apple logo is at the back of the phone, there's an emotional connection attached to it. You are doing what you are now an elite. So what I'm trying to say is that a strong brand needs to have emotion. Secondly, a strong brand is all about how it behaves, how it speaks, and how it serves. Take Coca-Cola, for example. Coca-Cola has automatically become synonymous with Christmas, especially in the USA and even in places like Japan and China. Coca-Cola has become synonymous with good festivities. In fact, Coca-Cola products have become synonymous with parties, events, because of how they behave, how they speak, and how they serve. Coca-Cola has become, they've seen they position themselves to be a strong brand that is, you can't do an event without them. You must buy one of their products. Either you buy Coke or you buy Fanta or you buy Sprite, but you must buy something from, Coca-Cola, something that is produced by the Coca-Cola company, because of how they position themselves as a strong brand, because of the way they behave. They are always invested in events, they are always invested in things. The way they speak, they are consistent with their message, and they also speak a language of you are the definition of fun, you are the definition of excitement. You are feeling hot in the afternoon, they won't advise you to take water. Rather, they'll tell you take a bottle of Coke, take a bottle of chill Coke, and you feel refreshing because of how they speak and how they serve. Right? So all this is comes together to build a strong brand. And third, a strong brand has three things that are working for it. And what are those three things? Number one is clarity. A brand needs to know who they are and why they are existing. So a strong brand needs to have clarity. Whether it's a personal brand or it is a business brand, you must have clarity. You need to know who you are and why you are existing. Then number two is consistency. Now, how do we show up across every touch point? Many brands, where they fail is how to be consistent with their showing up. How they show up on Instagram is usually different from how they show up on LinkedIn. How they show up on LinkedIn is different from how they show up on Twitter. How they show up on Twitter is different from how they show up on Facebook. And that is bad. You need to be consistent with the way you show up. Very, very important. Be consistent with the way you show up. So there's if people interact with you on Facebook, it should be the same, the same vibe they should get when they interact with you on LinkedIn. And not just that, it's also involved with the touch point, right? When people come across a social media page, especially their personal brand, when they come across a social media page, they should be able to understand that, oh, if I go to this person's website, I should get that same vibe. Not that they'll interact with your personal page, let me say they interact with your Instagram, and then they go to your website and they see a total different thing. It's not looking like it is you. It's looking like it is looking most times it's usually looking below you. But when they go to your website, let them see that in fact your website should speak even highly of you, but it should not be far from your brand. So you need to have consistency around your touch points, from your social media posts to your website to your mobile app. A brand needs to have that consistency in how they show up. Then, secondly, connection. Do our customers feel something real when they encounter us? So, when you're creating a design for a brand, ensure that you ask yourself, if the audience of this my client, if they come across this design, how will they feel? How will they connect to the design? Always ask yourself that question, because those things guide your direction. They guide the purpose of why you are creating that design. Very, very important. Now that we've seen what a strong brand is, now let's see how designers can think like brand strategy. Because the only way you can do any of these things I've just talked about is if you are able to think like a brand strategist. Now, I'm not trying to say you should become a brand strategist, but it is very important, especially if you're a brand designer, to have at least the basic knowledge of brand strategy. So, how can you be able to achieve a purposeful design? Now we are going to look at that. So, number one is you need to learn how to ask better questions. Very, very important. Learn to ask better questions. What's the business goal of this design? Like, what is the business goal? So, when you're creating that design, ask yourself, what is the business goal of this design? Who are the audience? What do they value? What's the brand tone and messaging like? So, all these things matters a lot, right? So, when you are creating a design, ask yourself, this brand I'm creating the design for, what is the goal of this design? Is it to sell a product, to advertise the product? Are they going to use to run an ad? You understand me? Or do they just want to announce themselves? Are they launching a new product? Are they advertising something? Are they maybe collaborating with another brand? Are they collaborating, or are they networking? Are they hosting an event? What exactly, what exactly is the business goal of this design? It is very, very important to ask that question. Okay, so let's move ahead. The next one is you need to also know who the audience of the brand is. Okay, very, very important. Know who they are speaking to, right? Are they speaking to children? Are they speaking to adults? Even if they are speaking to adults, what is the age range? Because the kind of adults you'll be speaking to, if you're speaking to 18, between 18 to 30 years old, it's not the same. It's not the same audience of adults of maybe 35 to 50. So you need to understand the audience. Now, understand what do these audience value, right? And not just the audience value, but also the brand, what they value. Do they value connection? Do they value transparency? Do they value simplicity? What really is their value? And then to the audience, what do the audience also value? Do they value people that are direct with their proposal? Many of us have this issue with all these online vendors where they come and they tell you so and so thing is what they are selling, and you need to DM for price. Not many people like that thing. We love it when the price is right there in our front. So you need to also know understand that, oh, the audience will prefer you to just have the price of this thing right there, so that they can know, so that they can make that decision right there on the spot. So it is very important to know both the value of the client or the brand, or the value and the value of the audience. Then lastly, what's the brand tone and messaging like? So you need to understand, how do they want to be represented? Do they want to sound playful, or are they the type that sound more corporate and serious? Do they sound energetic, or do they sound more friendly and welcoming? Or do they sound rigid? You need to understand what is their tone and their messaging. Very, very important. The next thing is understand positioning. Where does the brand stand in the market, and who are they trying to compete with? So you need to understand the competitors of that brand. Look at what that brand is doing. For example, if you want to create designs for Adidas, their major competitor is Nike. So look at what Nike is doing and see how your design can be better, so that Adidas can sell better. If you are designing for Samsung, their major competitor is Apple. Look at how you can design for Samsung, so that what they can stand ahead of Apple. Understand the competitor of the audience and know how you can now implement a good design that can help your client or your brand or that brand to stand out. Then, where does the brand stand in the market? Where do they stand in the market? Are they at the top of the mind of people? For example, what this simply means is that when luxury is mentioned, do this brand actually come to mind? When they say top 10 luxury brand in Nigeria, does that brand come to mind? You understand me? When they say top tech companies in the world, of course, Apple is usually number one to number five. It's usually the top five list in everybody's mind, followed by things like Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, the rest of them. But Apple is like at the top five when it comes to tech brands in the world. So when it comes to that locality, whether it's in Nigeria or it's in Lagos State, in Edo State, in Port Harcourt, where exactly does that brand stand in the minds of people? That is the brand position you are talking about. Then the last one is design with intention. So always learn to understand that create your designs that are on brand, and not just something that is following a trend. Don't just say, oh, this is raining and you want to follow it. That is why many of you who follow the trend of, I remember one time that Space Grotesque, one font they called Space Grotesque. I remember one time when Space Grotesque was like the font for everybody. If you don't use Space Grotesque, or you have not even started, share that one too, don't pass. I'm not sure anybody can remember Space Grotesque. People still use the font, but I can't remember the last time I used. It's been more than a year since I used Space Grotesque for anything, whether I'm designing for a client's brand or I'm designing for as a flyer. Same thing with Montserrat. Montserrat and the rest of them. Share those ones too. They have died down. Everybody's now is looking forward to Geist, looking forward to what's the rainy fonts now that they have in town. You understand? Helvetica. Helvetica new, because the normal Helvetica is actually not free for personal and commercial use. So everybody's now running towards Helvetica new. Everybody's running over things like maybe all those fonts that look somehow, like Helvetica. Everybody running towards that area. That trend too will still pass away. There was a time that this particular font, whether it's darker grotesque, and there's one other font they used to call something grotesque too. That one was also in very bold font. I'm sorry to say this, but this man, if you know him, this designer that's very fast at pushing out design. What is that his name again? Oh god, oh my god, I'm warning you guys now. Who was that? So there's this guy that normally is it I've forgotten his name, but there was a font that he was using one time, and almost every designer started using the font, and we all kind of abused it. So what am I trying to say? Design on brand. If, like I said earlier, if that particular client has a sort of a brand guide, ensure that you ask the client for the brand guide. Is very, very important, so that you can design on brand with functionality in mind. Moving on, how now can you align design with a brand voice, audience, and their goals? So it is very important that you try to align your design to that brand's voice, to the audience and their goals. So how do you do that? I've created this table for us to be able to understand that. Number one is we have the headers, we have design elements, without strategy, and with brand elements. So number one is colors. So when you are using colors, if you are using colors without strategy, what you do is that you just create designs with random colors, because you're either creating with because of trend. Oh, orange is the one that is ready now. Oh, everybody's using orange. You want to use orange in your design. Is it orange that is actually necessary for that design? Everybody's using purple. Oh, you also use purple. Everybody's using gradient. You want to use gradient, but must you use gradient? Okay, so try to understand that you need to choose colors. You need to choose your colors with strategy. And how can you do that? You need to choose colors that evoke brand emotion and trust. Most times, these things are done already in the brand guide, while other times, you just need to understand color psychology to be able to know the colors to work with when you are designing for a particular brand. If you are designing for a tech brand, we all know the colors to go with tech brands. If you are designing for a skincare brand, look for colors that match that audience, that evokes the brand emotion of skincare brands. When you're designing for fintech, when you're designing for fashion, use colors that are aligning with what? With those brand emotions. So the next one is typography. When you're using typography with a strategy, you use cool fonts that you either picked up on Pinterest or you just found the line that looks very beautiful, or you saw your fellow designer using the font and you're like, what font is this? And the person will tell you, and you go into your design. If whether it aligns with the design goal or not, so far the design is nice in your eye, you want to make use of it. That is what happens when you create designs without when you choose typography or font without strategy. So what about with brand alignment? Fonts that match the brand tone should be used. So use fonts that match the brand tone. Very, very important. Don't just use any fonts that you like. Use fonts that aligns with that brand and matches their tone. So what about this is supposed to be image. I forgot to change. It's supposed to be image. It's not typography again. It's supposed to be image. So so when you're choosing image without strategy, you are choosing just visual flow. You are just choosing things. It can be images, it can be illustrations. Whatever visuals you're choosing, make sure that they align with storytelling. That is now when you're working with brand alignment. But without strategy, you're just going with the visual flow. But with strategy or with brand alignment, you choose something that flows and supports storytelling and conversions. So don't just choose images that you just feel looks cool, but choose image that properly aligns to the goal of the design. Now, pretty designs don't do shit to strategic brand work. And why is that? You know, like I wrote here, I said that stop designing just to impress other designers on Instagram and start designing to solve problems and move people, including the kind of clients and jobs you want. And that is true. Designers are not your clients. Always try to know that. So if you are designing because you want your fellow designer to call you Baba, hey, chairman, boss, all your day your head, you're deceiving yourself. Many of you do the same thing with your portfolio. You create a portfolio, you come online to share your portfolio. How cool is my portfolio? It's not your fellow designer that will judge your portfolio. It's your clients that will judge your portfolio. So make sure that when you're creating your portfolio, you are creating something that isn't going to impress other designers, but you're creating something that will solve a problem and it can move people to take an action and also help you attract the kind of clients or the kind of job you want. When you're applying for a job, is it your designers that you're going to submit your CV to? Or is it your fellow designer that you're going to submit your portfolio to? Of course not. It's clients, jobs, bosses, people that have some of them said they don't even know what it means to be a designer. They don't even know what it means to be creative. These are the people you'll be submitting your CV to. So ask yourself, this design I'm creating, is this something that clients will see and they want to know who created this design? Or is this something that designers will see and they'll be hailing me? Ask yourself that question. So next time you create a design, first ask yourself, does this design serve the brand's goals? Will the right audience connect with it? And is the message clear through visuals? Make sure that the message you are passing across to the audience are clear or is clear. It's very important. Make sure the message you're passing across to the audience is absolutely clear. If you know clear, forget about it. You have missed the mark. So now, what do you do? So with everything we've discussed so far, right from the first slide and everything, what do you do in order to help you solve this problem? Number one, build brand strategy into your design process and ensure that there's brand strategy. Like what I taught you guys before, how you can think like a brand strategist. I hope you guys took a screenshot of it anyway. Learn to think like a brand strategy. So implement brand strategy into your design process. Number two, Use brand guides, not guesswork. I've been singing this thing since we started this session. If a client, if their business have brand guideline, follow the brand guideline. No go they do freestyle. No go they do we are pros. No go they do I know what I am doing. At the end of the day, all there is going to be your name. So make sure you follow brand guideline. If they have, oh, I'm not trying to say because most brands will not have, but if they do, please use it. And before you start any design, ask the client, you have brand guidelines. Don't just think that that the client will know that they're supposed to send you their brand guide. No. It is your job to ask. Then if they say they don't have, no problem. Try to also work with what you know about the brand. And like I said earlier, build brand strategy into your design process. Number three, educate your clients. Yes, educate your clients. Don't think your clients understand where your design is coming from. They don't know. See, they can't think like you. You are the creative. You know where your idea is coming from. You know where your creativity is coming from. You know where all these things are coming from. So learn to make sure that you educate your client. When you create something, educate your client on the purpose or the reason why you why you made certain decisions in design. Why you chose a particular color, why you chose a particular font, why you chose a particular layout, why you did this and why you did that. Try to educate your clients on that. It helps to help them understand what you've done. Many of us have gotten feedbacks like this. I don't understand the design. The design is not speaking to me. Yes, sometimes instead of you to just be telling the client and say, this why is design not speaking to you? What is wrong with the design? Try to tell them, okay, can I have a session with you? Then you break down the design process. Me, what I normally do is that when I'm on a brand identity design project, when I'm done with maybe I've created one or two samples of a logo. Before I show the client, I do what they call a recorded session. I record the video explanation. I don't just send them the PDF and then tell them, oh, these are the logo samples, choose. No, I don't do that. What I do is that I will make sure I do a sort of a presentation of the logo samples I've done, the meaning behind it, and then I will record a video explaining the ideas behind that logo concept. Then I'll send them both the PDF and the recorded video to them. So as they are flipping through the PDF and seeing through the design, the different logo samples, they will be able to understand where my idea came from. And this will fasten and hasten the decision process. They don't need to come and be saying, we don't understand what you did here. Can we see more samples? No. By explaining the logo samples I've done, they will easily understand what is being done, why I went through towards the direction I went with. Now, this will help them to make good decision making. The next one is study top brands. Now, try to understand, top brands that are maybe in the same industry with your clients. Try to understand what they do, like how their design works. Try to understand how their design is, see what works, and see what you can spy. Yes, copy, but copy creatively. See what works for them and copy creatively, and then make sprinkle your own touch of creativity into it. And then the last one is get feedback, iterate, and grow. And that is very important. Always make sure you get feedback from your clients. You can also get feedback from your fellow designers too. Yes, you can get feedback from your fellow designers, but get feedback from your clients and then iterate. That is like you can edit, you can tweak certain things in the design. And as you are doing those things, you are eventually growing in your design skills. All of these things are things you need to put into practice to help you to start designing with purpose. Now, to wrap it up, designers today are more than just creative. So, number one, we are communicators. So, you are communicating an information to people visually, either through text, through image, through colors, but you are communicating something. The next one, you are problem solvers. You are not just somebody who is creating things to look beautiful, but you are also a problem solver. And also, you are a cultural shaper. What it simply means is that your design can go a long way in defining how a brand internal affairs can be conducted. You can also create designs that can shape the history of how things should be done. For example, now the product designers of iPhone today shaping the future of smartphones. They shaping the future of smartphones. Being able to design something that's just whole touch screen and responsive and it's everything. Now they define the future of iPhone. So design is not only flyers and logos. It can be things like mobile apps. You understand me? It can be things like mobile apps. It's not just only flyers and posters and logos. No, it can be things as mobile apps, website UI designs, and stuff like that. So the way you create a design can define. Somebody started glass morphism. It was somebody that started glass morphism, and it shapes the future of modern UI design. and design in general. Both people who design flyers now and everything. Now, for example, now Apple recently launched liquid glass. Now everybody's now looking for ways they can implement it in their design. I have implemented it in my own design. Of recent, I've implemented it in design. I could show you guys one of the designs that I implemented it in. Okay, okay. Let me say this. Everybody now is implementing liquid glass in their design. Now, I hope it's this design. Let me quickly show you guys something. Let me make a duplicate of this. So now, by creating this, I was able to create this liquid glass. Many of us who are comfortable with tech, we know understand what the how the buzz about liquid glass. You can see it. Now, everybody is finding ways that they can implement liquid glass into their designs, whether it's flyers or UI design or you know poster design. Or, but everybody now is implementing liquid glass into their design. You can see it. Everybody now is implementing liquid glass into their design. So what am I trying to say? Liquid glass now is a it's now becoming a culture in the design world, in the tech world. And who has shaped it? The UI designers of Apple. I think Microsoft did it back in, is it Microsoft 97? Microsoft Vista. Like as we have Windows 11, Windows 10, Windows 8. So there was a Windows operating system called Windows Vista. That was when Windows first implemented this liquid glass something. But Apple now have taken it up a notch and it has become a culture in both the design and in the tech world. Everybody now are looking for ways that they can include liquid glass into their design workflow. So what are we talking about? You are a designer, so don't just follow trend, but make sure you create something that people will look at and be like, Omo, somebody that I also know that has changed the nature of how we create birthday flyer designs is this man they call Nana. For those of you who know him, Nana Multimedia or Multimillionaire that he calls himself now. I know him as Nana Multimedia. Now, for those of us who follow him on Instagram, he's one guy that shaped the way we create flyers when it comes to birthday flyers. His own style was unique, and now everybody wants to create birthday flyers like him. He shaped the culture of how designers create birthday flyers. Now, this is a little bit of take home. When branding is ignored, everything goes to shit. No, I realized I came up with this quote when one of the places where I work out, where I work out, one of my 9 to 5, we're creating the design for a client, and we tend to overlook the brand guide, because so while I'm talking on this topic, I'm talking from not just somebody who just want to talk, but I'm talking from an actual place of experience. I'm working at a place where sometimes we do discard the brand guideline, and that thing really pisses me off. And to be sincere with you, 9 out of 10 times we discard brand guideline, every design we create for the brand for that client is always nonsense. No matter how good I am, no matter how good I am with the designs, we always end up creating things that doesn't just speak the brand. Why? Because the branding was ignored. So when branding is ignored, every single thing goes to shit. So the UI designers will be designing rubbish, the website design will be nonsense, the flyer designs will be rubbish. Everything goes to shit because branding was ignored. So designers, before you open Photoshop tomorrow, or today is Friday, so let me say on Monday, before you open Photoshop on Monday, and or you open CorelDRAW or whatever software you're using designing, before you open that software, ask yourself, am I going to ignore branding today, or am I going to align myself with branding to ensure that I create a design that has purpose? Thank you very much, guys, for being with me this evening. It has been an amazing time sharing my knowledge and sharing my experience with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. And yeah, so quickly in the next 5 minutes, I'll be taking your questions now. Thank you.